climate promises by governments and corporations during the last climate summit. He accused the government and the corporate sector of stocking harmful fossil fuels despite making promises to minimize the use of hazardous energy resources.
This is the second in a series of 3 reports from the United Nations top climate scientists. Its launch came just 100 days since the UN Climate Action Summit in Glasgow COP26 agreed to step up action to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius and stave off the worst effects of climate change. According to the new publication, the planet is on a pathway to global warming of more than double the 1.5 degree limit agreed in Paris. Antonio Guterres stresses that the world is on a fast track to climate disaster resulting from the current energy policies of governments.
The jury has reached a verdict, and it is damning. This report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is a litany of broken climate promises. It is a file of shame, cataloguing the empty pledges that put us firmly on track towards an unlivable world. We are on a fast track to climate disaster. Major cities underwater, unprecedented heat waves, terrifying storms, widespread water shortages, the extinction of 1 million species of plants and animals. And this is not fiction or exaggeration. It is what science tells us will result from our current energy policies.
The United Nations chief says the report came at a time of global turbulence when inequalities at unprecedented levels and the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic is scandalously uneven. Guterres also emphasized that the ignorance of climate change by the governments and the business leaders will be catastrophic.
Government and business leaders are saying one thing but doing another. Simply put, they are lying. And the results will be catastrophic. This is a climate emergency. Climate scientists warn that we are already perilously close to tipping points that could lead to cascading and irreversible climate impacts. But high-emitting governments and corporations are not just turning a blind eye. They are adding fuel to the flames. They are choking our planet based on their vested interests and historic investments in fossil fuels, when cheaper, renewable solutions provide green jobs, energy security, and greater price stability.
Guterres says leaders must lead and everyone does their part. The UN chief went on to say that the world owes a debt to young people, civil society and indigenous communities for sounding the alarm and holding leaders accountable.
We left COP26 in Glasgow with a naive optimism based on new promises and commitments. But the main problem, the enormous growing emissions gap, was all but ignored. And the science is clear. To keep the 1.5 degree limit agreed in Paris within reach, we need to cut global emissions by 45% this decade. But current climate pledges would mean a 14% increase in emissions. And most major emitters are not taking the steps needed to fulfill even these inadequate promises.
Humans are increasingly influencing the climate and the Earth's temperature by burning fossil fuels, cutting down forests and farming livestock. These add enormous amounts of greenhouse gases to those naturally occurring in the atmosphere, increasing the greenhouse effect and global warming. The UNSD said the international community must triple the speed of the shift to renewable energy, adding that it is fast and cheaper. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.